Hi, today I want to address the most important questions about tokenization that I receive basically every day, people asking the same thing again and again. So I would cover questions like how to sell tokens, where to find customers, is it better to do tokens than traditional securities, can somebody steal my tokens, who does the custodian services, where do we collect money, is it legal, is it anonymous, and so on. So the first question is whom will I sell the tokens that I created? And to answer this question, we need to cover such thing as that the tokens are just a technical term. They always represent certain assets. So if you have tokenized gold, then you're basically selling gold. If you have tokenized grain, you're selling grain. If you have tokenized art, you're selling art. And the thing that something is tokenized doesn't transform the nature of the asset itself. So the tokenized gold is the receipts for gold that sits somewhere, maybe in your vault, and then you have to find people who will trust you to store this gold for them and basically trade these receipts between each other. So the tokenization process is the very simple thing. It allows you to make an accounting system of a new generation. In case when all accounts are managed via cryptographic keys. Basically, that's it. So the tokenization doesn't change the nature of the process. There is always somebody responsible for storing the asset, or somebody responsible for doing exchange, somebody responsible for keeping the accounting system in the proper state. It could be many people, it could be one person, doesn't really matter. So tokenization by itself doesn't make assets more attractive. It's basically more about infrastructure, whether your infrastructure for storage and trading and transfers with this ownership rights is more efficient than it used to be. So obviously paper is the less efficient medium of exchange. Then we have the traditional databases that are vulnerable to hacker or insider attacks. Now we have blockchain technology that allows you to do accounting with higher level of security and trust. So, but if you tokenize your asset, the one big thing that you have to remember is that it should become, you as a startup founder should make it the primary accounting system for everybody involved in the ecosystem of an asset. So the regulator should look at this accounting system, and auditor and your customers and maybe your competitors, etc. And they have to admit that this system is the one where everything is recorded. So then people ask, okay, when I buy tokens, where do I actually send money? Obviously, you can send them to exchange and buy it from exchange. But if it's initial offering, it's the same as offering of some goods and services. You have to send money to the owner of the platform that manages these assets. So if it's a custodian of gold, you're sending money to this organization, to their banking account. And they may allow you to directly buy an asset, or they will allow you to deposit money on your behalf in their system, and then this money will be represented as a digital balance on your wallet, and you'll be able to spend it. So exactly like PayPal does. So when you deposit money, when you top up your account, you send money to the banking account of PayPal. And basically, because they own the accounting system, the transactions inside are free of charge. And only when you deposit and withdraw, you pay some fees. So that's the nature of all the tokenization systems. It's some accounting system that somebody owns, and you deposit money to their banking account. So where do these tokens stored? So yeah, they indeed stored in this accounting system, which may or may not be decentralized between a lot of people, or managed by a group of organizations, or even one organization. So what's the difference between public and private blockchains? So the difference is censorship resistance. So if you have a case where your asset better be anonymous and doesn't require any KYC identification on users, then it makes sense to use permissionless public chains. But if your asset requires government approval, licenses, etc., then the private blockchain will be much better. Because if you have an asset that is physical, that has to be stored by somewhere and protected by armed guards, then the key thing and the most crucial risk is not the accounting system or which blockchain you are using, but the risk of theft of this asset. So somebody could go and steal these assets from you, and then these tokens are useless. They are claims for something that you don't have anymore. So this risk is the major risk. It's the most important. So it's very big for Tether and all other stable coins that are backed by some assets. So the trust to custodian is the most important here. Then other thing is audit. Like who can audit all the transactions and who can audit the situation that the asset is still there. Obviously not everybody. So it makes sense to decentralize the system between those users who can audit the system. So if you have many anonymous miners on the network and they can validate that the balances match each other, it may not mean anything because they cannot really audit this transaction. They cannot prove that this transaction makes sense from the logically point of view. So your tokenization system looks very like a bank or payment system for which you are a custodian, and you set up rules and everything, and who can use these tokens, who cannot. And you as a company accept deposits and validate withdrawals. So for example, if somebody wants to buy tokenized gold, they will send you money on your banking account. You will issue corresponding balances in fiat money on the wallet of the customer. Then they buy tokenized gold from you. Now you change the account balance accordingly, but you still hold the money and the gold. And only at the point when your consumer want to withdraw, whether gold or money, you create a real transaction. It could be a physical movement of gold, or it could be just swift transfer, and then the payment is sent. An accounting system, the blockchain, should address this change of state of accounts. So this is the process. So you act as a bank. It's not a magic. It's very down-to-earth process. So why is it then better and different from traditional approaches like traditional software? The difference is immutability of transactions and ability to do a transparent real-time audit. That makes the system more transparent. So it doesn't help you from theft of assets, but it helps you to prevent errors, whether intentional or not, in the accounting system itself. So from legal perspective, again, you tokens don't bring you any more benefits. It's still an accounting system. There's still somebody responsible. And whether it's a security or not, it's defined by the particular regulation in your jurisdiction. Even if it's commodity on the ground, your token could be security. If you wonder how it can happen, you can Google for whiskey barrel case. It happened in the US in 1974, where some businessman created receipts for whiskey, which he stored in his warehouse. And these barrel receipts could be traded. So basically, SEC considered that issuance of securities. So be careful when you tokenize certain assets. But nevertheless, I believe personally that all the assets will be tokenized. And the last question that I want to address is that anonymity of such transactions. Because now we have many cryptocurrency, many stable coins that pretend to be cryptocurrencies with anonymous transfers between accounts. basically entrepreneurs who do this, they kind of claim that when they do first issuance of this initial issuance of these assets, only KYC users can buy them. So only users who passed identification procedures and all the sanctioned list. And then when they sell it on the secondary market, and secondary market runs on top of Ethereum, they cannot, they claim they cannot manage this and control this. That's not fully true, even though Ethereum doesn't subordinate to some company. You still can make a smart contract that tracks that, and regulators will not likely accept the situation when anonymous infrastructure will be used, whether for bad or for good. That's the case. Otherwise, it would be a big hole in the legal system. Thanks.